Hello there, my name's Card. Here on my YouTube page, I like to make videos talking about all sorts of different topics which interest me. And today, I just wanted to very briefly articulate some thoughts I've been holding on to for a little while concerning a controversial internet documentary series. Just in case anyone watching doesn't know, long story short, Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History, is a long-form indie YouTube documentary series made about a random, Sonic the Hedgehog-obsessed, genuinely mentally deficient, long-time internet personality known as Chris Chan. This is not a person who, frankly, it makes any conventional sense, should ought to be the subject of so much online scrutiny. And if you don't happen to know what I'm talking about here, bless your heart, but maybe you should close the video now, because really, you're better off continuing to not know about this. But, if you do know about Chris Chan already, surely I don't need to tell you that literally hundreds of thousands of collective hours have been spent by people all over the world obsessively poring over every detail of this person's insane life. And this indie documentary, Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History, is without a doubt the pinnacle of works doing that. I know a fair few people online have already tried to make the case that you should leave Chris Chan alone on moral grounds of one stripe or another over the years. And I definitely see where they're coming from there, and anyone making that sort of argument probably does have good intentions. But today, I just wanted to expound some thoughts related to the online culture of documenting this wretched soul's life, particularly with regards to the aforementioned Comprehensive History series. And why, ultimately, if I had to make a big sweeping declaration about that project as a whole, I'd have to say it probably would have been for the best if it just hadn't been made in the first place. Now, before I get too far into things, two preemptive disclaimers of a sort. One, this video I'm making right now is intended essentially for people already familiar with Chris Chan and this comprehensive history series I'm alluding to. Those are the people I think most need to hear this, and frankly, I don't want to have to explain what either Chris Chan or this series is. And two, I'll also say, I will almost always wholeheartedly support both the right of an artist or a creator to make whatever sort of project they want to, if they're really dead set on making it. And I am very broadly pro-freedom of speech in the American First Amendment sense. But, at the same time, sometimes, if you are a creator, you just need to recognize that some art projects aren't worth doing. And if you're an art consumer, you should also recognize that some works of entertainment aren't great things to get too invested in. To that end, I still really don't think Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History should have been made. To be clear, I don't think any powers that be should be expected to step in to stop Gino Samuel, the creator of Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History, from making his series. But I do sincerely think the best course of action would have been for Samuel himself to have reconsidered making it at any point in the process. Now, I do sincerely get the appeal of making such a series, and evidently, hundreds of thousands of people see something appealing in watching it, which I'm honestly sympathetic to. I'm not going to pretend that I don't understand why so many people, most of whom probably fit a particular online cultural profile themselves, might want to gawp at Chris Chan. But, do you really need to spend close to 100 hours eagerly keeping up with an 80-odd episode series about Chris? Just in a complete moral abstract, putting the ethics of what this sort of project represents aside for a second, let's say that Chris Chan's life story could be considered something of an entertaining oddity or a cautionary tale, or a case study of the human condition, or whatever. I feel like once you spend more than, say, maybe 1 hour on a lazy afternoon reading about Chris Chan's life, at that point you're starting to give it too much thought. And realistically, if you're the sort of person who feels genuinely invested in Chris Chan's lore, then you would have known all the major details of it long before the Comprehensive History series retrod every single YouTube vlog and leaked phone call and rambling tweet and court appearance of Chris's that's already been documented elsewhere, right? I'd even be willing to concede that at one point, long ago, some of the earliest interactions Chris Chan had with the trolls were genuinely funny and creative. All the early Sonichu parodies and the Liquid Chris stuff, and maybe even the man in a pickle suit tricked me again thing, were funny and largely harmless. Again, I won't pretend that I haven't laughed at it myself at one point. But even if following the Chris Chan story was ever good, it sure as hell isn't anymore. Nothing about Chris's life has been harmless or funny or remotely positive for about a decade at this point. Maybe it would be all for the best if everyone just forgot about it. I'm not going to start moralizing and tell you not to watch Chris Chan-centered content because you're supporting problematic creators. I'm not going to tell you not to watch Chris Chan-centered content with the appeal that there might be much better things you could be doing with your time. But I will tell you, if you choose to keep yourself invested in everything Chris Chan does, you're only making yourself less normal at this point. Incidentally, the notion of cataloguing any person's life down to the minutest detail like this, how has been done with Chris Chan, should not have been normalized. Doubly so, given that we're talking about someone who, frankly, in the best possible world, would probably be a ward of the state. But pointing that alone out probably won't shift the opinion of anyone who's still watching Chris Chan, will it? Yes, to put it bluntly and simplistically, Chris has a unhealthy, severely deluded mind. And frankly, if you choose to spend dozens, maybe even hundreds of hours of your own life willfully consuming a comprehensive document of their delusions, you're starting to go down a path of being worse. Think about what you are doing objectively. Same goes for anyone who thinks of Chris Chan as merely an entertainment figure. They're just some random mentally ill suburbanite who you should have absolutely no reason to ever know about, let alone feel an investment in the lore of. For the love of God, do not keep staring at the cautionary tale right up until the point you hit it. And, in a way, to continue being very blunt here, the person who might just need to hear that sort of thing the most might be someone like the creator of Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History themselves, the aforementioned Gino Samuel. Now, from how he's long interacted with his viewers and fans, Gino Samuel comes across like a smart enough guy, and clearly very talented and technically capable in many respects. And he probably has genuinely good intentions in his life, as most people do. But you have to admit, putting thousands, maybe tens of thousands of man-hours into documenting the life of Chris Chan isn't completely sane behaviour. Single-handedly making close to 100 hours of any sort of scripted content is definitely quite an endeavour. No one will deny that. But when that 100 hours of content is describing Chris Chan's life in excruciating detail, you have to say, sorry Gino, that's not normal. Hearing that someone wants to make a comprehensive Chris Chan series should register about the same as hearing that someone you know wants to attempt a year-long fast. Is it technically possible? Sure. Should you do it? No, please do not hurt yourself. Realistically, about 20 or 25 episodes into the comprehensive history series, when I think people started to realize, oh shit, he might actually go the whole way here. Around then, I think honestly, that's when the creator's personal ambition to make this series became a cautionary tale of its own. Because, unfortunately, I think around that time, as the series hit 24 odd episodes, that's also when more and more people online started noticing it and immediately binged the whole series, then followed the rest of the production, and even might have started financially supporting Gino Samuel through Patreon or his other works. And then the massive problem there is that nothing can keep you wedded to a bad project more than it suddenly becoming a big part of your income. I'm not going to directly debate the ethics of selling out versus getting the bag today. Let's just say, I completely get why someone like Gino Samuel would essentially need to directly and indirectly monetize his series through sponsorships and the Patreon stuff. I get that. And I do respect the starving artist hustle of it all. However, knowing when to let go, in spite of a paycheck, is a very valuable skill too. I wish Samuel all the best. Like I said, I think his intentions are basically good, and he's a talented guy. But I maintain that you really shouldn't aspire to be like the guy who spends several years occupying himself with Chris Chan. From the outside, looking in, and without the blinkers on of being a fan of Chris Chan or comprehensive history, it just looks to me like one internet-brained obsessive wasting years of their life documenting another internet-brained obsessive wasting years of their life. If you ever actually sat down and watched all 85 or so episodes of this thing, the only grand moral lesson to take away from it all would be that finding success with an entertainment project can inadvertently chain you to continuously doing it well past the point of it ever arguably being good. Because then, to do the sensible thing and to walk away at any time would be to essentially give up all potential future profits that could have been made from the series. And later on, especially if that project becomes unfulfilling and you don't want to keep doing it, or maybe you just feel some ethical pull to stop doing it, either way, walking away now would be immensely more difficult because of the fact it provides your income. Not to mention the fact that if you keep going with a project like this, well past the point of it really being anything a normal person could look at and think is just a bit of online fun, you are only making yourself look all the more grotesque. That goes for creator and consumer alike. Try your best to stay at least kinda normal. Please? Either way, it's just a thought I've been holding on to for a little while that I wanted to share. If you might want to hear more thoughts of mine, feel free to subscribe to this YouTube page, or just take a look at my other videos. All the same, once again, my name's Card, thanks for listening, and have a lovely day.